Welcome to Transform Now, the podcast brought to you by robotic process automation pioneer Blue Prism. Digital transformation has the potential to reshape the way companies service their customers, engage their employees, and manage their operations. Whether you're looking to develop strategies, tactics, and best practices to positively impact the future of work, or you're curious to learn how other companies have successfully navigated their digital transformation programs, then this podcast is for you. We're here to help you transform now.
Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Michael Marchuk, and I'd like to introduce our special guest for this episode today, Jason Salmani, who's a Senior Manager of Process Optimization in the Robotics team at Crowe. Today, we'll be chatting more about how automation has been evolving as a strategic corporate program. Welcome, Jason.
Yeah, thanks so much, Michael. Appreciate it.
All right, Jason, so tell us a little bit more about yourself, some of your background and such.
Sure. So I've been in IT for over a decade now, with the large focus of that being in automation. Had the privilege of being part of Blue Prism when Blue Prism was first up and coming from an RPA perspective, and that really kind of helped guide my journey into a business owner, into the machine learning space, and now part of Crowe, which really our focus is this whole optimization and automation side of things. So really happy to be part of this team and help grow out this practice. And from where I see myself, where I think I fit, I think a lot of my focus has always been really understanding the ecosystem and being able to simplify it. That was our tagline. We started a company called Kano AI, and the tagline was Automation Simplified. How do we take all this stuff that's out there, all this stuff that's available, and really help people that may not have any experience in the IT or automation space? How do we help them understand it? So understanding the ecosystem, and more importantly, from an actual use perspective, right, going past theory, how do these technologies work with each other? How do they integrate? How do they complement each other? What works? What doesn't work? What's available? So that's, I really think, a large part of what I've been doing, what my focus has been, is understanding how to solution out problems for clients. How do we solve these problems? And under the covers, that's where all the new technology and capabilities come in. So that's a little bit about me.
So obviously, automation and RPA, the whole market has changed substantially from when you started at Blue Prism, and the evolution more towards intelligent automation has really, matured. Where do you see the biggest opportunities for organizations who are yet to build out an automation program at scale? So
the biggest opportunities that I've found for organizations, and this kind of spreads across all the different sizes of organizations, are first and foremost if we take a step back, there's so much expertise available. There's so much literature, there's so much experience, there's so many use cases, there's so many things that are available for organizations that most companies aren't going into the dark, in the sense of there's so many things that they can rely on with other organizations that have done this. But from a opportunity for individual organizations, right, we've got so many different technologies available that things that weren't normally achievable are now pretty easily accessible. And to give an example, we do a lot of OCR work, or we digitize documents. One of those types of documents that have always been a huge hassle to digitize are handwritten documents. So how do you take unstructured data that's written by hand and fingerprint? I say like handwriting is like a fingerprint or a snowflake, right? Everyone writes differently. How do you extract that information in a reliable manner so that it can be used for business critical applications? So there's so many different vendors now that can achieve those really complex problems, that now you're starting to see this huge new opportunity of processes available. And it's no longer this idea of you've got to spend $1 million and take 12 months to build this. You're now able to achieve these, phenomenal results that people only dreamed about even 5 years ago on a pretty regular and steady and cost-effective basis. So being able to understand, again, those technologies available and how do you apply that to your business means a whole new portfolio of things that you can automate. And as automation goes, it's faster, it's more efficient, it's better from a logging and auditing perspective. So you're seeing all the same benefits, but just with more and more options. And part of that is because the technology is there. Part of that is because other people have done it, right? Other organizations have done it, have implemented it, and there's become, again, more wealth of information available that you can rely on to understand what can we do within our organization? Where do we see these opportunities? And how can we apply those to our business?
You mentioned this whole unstructured data concept, and this is something that as the market has matured has become much more reliable and also much more integrated as we go. As Blue Prism has its own document management platform that we manage as part of our Decipher program, the breadth of these options available, it really allows these organizations to be able to enter in with a lot more confidence to go in to do these unstructured data, where in the past, RPA and robotic process automation as a set core thing was really relying on very structured data. So it sounds like with that change, now it's opened up a whole number of use cases that may not have been as low-hanging as fruit as perhaps some of the more structured data.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If we look at some of the capabilities, and more importantly, the capabilities that are achieved, like you mentioned, within a single vendor. So now if we look at Blue Prism, for example, you've got process understanding as part of your capability, you've got the automation, the RPA side as part of your capability, and you have intelligent document processing as part of your capability, amongst other things. You've got this whole, new tool set available to you. It's when you think about it, imagine you had a hammer. Well, now you've got a drill, right? What are all the new things that you can do that a hammer couldn't previously do? That's what we're seeing with these platforms, right? It's no longer just a kind of simple one tool approach. It's like this cohesive platform that lets you dive into different areas and to explore different opportunities for things that, like you mentioned, couldn't have been done before. And how do we make that easy for the user to do, right? Not this huge undertaking and huge level of effort, but really a nice, cohesive, easy use platform that can do and accomplish these different things.
So as we see this with the opportunities coming forward, there's also challenges associated with it. So what do you see are the biggest challenges with broadening or scaling out an automation inside an organization, an automation program within an organization? Is that a technology issue? Is that a cultural issue? Is it a combination? How do you see that?
If you would have asked the same question 5 years ago, it would have been a mix of technology and culture. I don't think we can blame technology anymore. I think that technology has advanced so much that there's so much, again, and there's almost too much available now, right? You've got this 50 different flavors of peanut butter. Which one do I pick? But the technology's there. It's really a matter of people don't want to change, right? Businesses are just made up of people. How do we establish and build confidence in this idea that businesses need to change? And that really starts from, the C-level all the way down to your normal staff. And it's scary. Change is scary. Everyone likes to be in their normal day-to-day, let's just do things the way we've always done it. But the problem with that is you're not advancing with the market, and that's eventually going to potentially lead to your fail. Most businesses, I think all businesses in history have failed at some point, but you want to try to get ahead of that. And I think one way to support that idea of change is discovery. I think it's a huge part of changing any business that is lacking in a lot of ways. So how do I understand processes within my organization that can be changed, right? And you don't even need to say automated. How can they be changed? Everyone knows about making processes lean and all these different belts that you can have, but that really comes into what does your current process look like and what can it look like? That discovery aspect, the analysis portion of it, I think is a huge driver to start to help you understand, right? This is not some big scary change, right? You're doing work the way you would normally do it. It's just being better, more efficient, cheaper, right? All things that a business looks for, but you apply a robot to it versus a human, and then it starts to get a little bit scary. I think if we started to really help the executives, help stakeholders, help these people really understand that a digital transformation doesn't mean nothing is the way it was before, but it's really just the change of how you do things, and really show them how that works and show them that it's possible, I think you'd start to see a lot more adoption. But getting that initial, hey, look, this isn't some big scary thing. This is just helping your business kind of advance to the future and helping your business really stay ahead of the market. I think that's something that everyone can get behind.
So I understand where you're going with that in terms of some of the ideas, but how does Crowe approach automation within a broader process optimization concept? Because that's part of what you're doing here is not just automation, but actual optimization. How does Crowe make that approach?
Yeah, so Crowe has the benefit of having SMEs in every different vertical across all types of businesses. As one of the largest accounting firms, they have their hands in a lot of different things. And a lot of what they focus in is the process, especially when it comes to audit and compliance. What is your process doing? What are the different risks involved? What do you have to present in front of auditors and so on? So they have a deep core understanding of processes at a level that not many organizations do. So when I come into an industry like that or a business like that, I just see a ton of gold mines. Hey, SMEs in the healthcare space within RevCycle, let's figure out what they're doing and how we can do it differently. Or SMEs within the financial sector. Even before starting to have conversations with clients, we as an organization are building out heat maps and use cases and different plays on how we can change things that haven't been done before. They had the functional expertise that was there, but they didn't have the technical expertise. And that's what we've brought in to Crowe is you guys understand business better than anyone. We understand technology better than anyone. Once we marry that, it's just a match made in heaven. So a lot of our focus, again, is it's not so much on the development side because we do have world-class developers. And that was my goal when I initially created Kano was how do I get people that are dedicated to automation, not just get developers off the bench and repurpose them. So everyone that's part of our POR group is an automation expert. So how do we get them? And we know they're going to do work. Why don't we focus on the discovery side? Why don't we focus on building out these heat maps, these roadmaps, building out the ROI, building out all these things that companies are looking for? So that's a huge part of our focus. And then, of course, with that comes world-class delivery, services, making sure your processes are built to the highest standards and so on.
So as you were talking about that, you're really focusing on the planning aspect of managing your automation program as a program. It's one thing to do automation to automate segments or tasks or whatnot, but you're actually looking to stepping back and to review the process overall to get a better feel for it and bring that expertise from both a business and technical perspective into these organizations they understand their business, but they may not understand how their business and these new technologies could be married together to support it in a better way.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I think that there's this huge lack of, everyone's always approaching this from like the tool or platform perspective versus the problem perspective, right? Like they're trying to just throw solutions at a wall and hope that they stick. The way we're looking at it is you've got problems within your business. Every business does. We're here to help you solve those problems. Sure, RPA may be part of that solution. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just re-engineering your processes. But when we come at it from a problem perspective, from a, hey, let's help you make your business better, when we get into the solutioning side, that's when different technologies come into play. But the focus is always on the client and what their problems are and how we can solve that. And with every business, there's more than one problem. We need to develop a pipeline. We need to develop a program. We need to enable those sort of things that will leave a lasting effect on a business, not just a one-off, hey, let's automate and leave.
So do you see any specific industry or market segment that you would perceive to be more ripe for this transition, this digital transformation to automation?
So from a market perspective, when we talk about what's ripe for automation, I really think the mid-market is starting to reap a lot of these benefits. And the reason behind that is there's not this huge barrier from a cost perspective or from an expertise perspective to implement and to transform your organization. And what I mean by that is if we look at some of the pricing model, consumption models, the cloud offering, there's all these things that are now geared towards easily consuming technology and easily consuming this benefit that weren't readily available before. And what that means is that your companies that are $100 million in size, $200 million in size, even $50 million in size can start to see drastic changes and ultimately returns on these different technologies. And it's not a matter of compromising because you're not spending $1 million. They're getting the same benefit, the same technologies, the same capabilities as these Fortune 500 companies, but with models that really allow them to get in the game. So we're starting to see a lot of that. From our perspective, there's been a huge uptick in PE groups, PE firms that want to automate their portfolio companies. These portfolio companies are generally smaller companies, but we're still able to see $500 to $1 million year-over-year returns because we're able to implement these solutions that have consumption-based models, they have SaaS models, they have better pricing models, and still provide benefit for these organizations. That mid-market is really starting to pick up in the automation space, and I only see that growing and that leading to more and more capabilities, more and more niche products and use cases and things like that will help everyone build out and really help the ecosystem as a whole.
Yeah, we've been seeing the same thing within our Blue Prism cloud environment with the mid-market. Larger organizations certainly take advantage of it also, but larger organizations tend to have potentially their own data centers or their data center teams to be able to support automation or all of these different technologies. But by bringing in a Blue Prism cloud kind of environment, we're seeing both large and mid-market companies being able to take advantage of this where they don't necessarily have to have the same amount of infrastructure to support it. And now they have all these, as you mentioned, different technologies they could layer on top of it very easily and very straightforward wise to be able to get the benefit they're looking for. So what's one thing that you'd want an executive to walk away with after listening to your podcast, your thoughts?
I think if we were to do a single takeaway or kind of the gist of takeaways, first and foremost, I think change is required. I know it's a hard pill to swallow. Again, change is always scary, but I think it's required. I think there's more and more demand for faster work, more efficient work, less work that I as a consumer have to do to get the same thing. And there's a lot of competition out there, right? There's more and more businesses that are being built up, and there's more and more businesses that are taking advantage of these capabilities. So there is a need to change, but that doesn't have to be scary. And more importantly, I think it's harder to fail. And the reason is, again, there's so many resources out there. This isn't the bleeding edge where not many people know what's going on and only a couple companies are really taking the dive. This has been proven day in and day out for years. Literature, podcasts like this, webinars, right? Even all these free resources available online to help you succeed. And because of that, I think it's really time to really take a look at your organization and ask yourself, are we working in 2021? Are we thinking about 2025? Or are we doing stuff the same way we've done it for the last 10, 20, 40 years because that's just how we did it? I think those organizations that aren't really taking a strong look at their day-to-day, which is really the blood of their organization, I think those organizations are the ones that we're not going to see do as well in the future. And I would advise you, take advantage of the resources, really think of coming into the future and look for the support that's out there that's ready to give you a new kind of coat of paint on your business.
Thank you, Jason, for your thoughts. I really appreciate your thoughts today. You're very insightful and appreciate how you approached describing how this change really has to be a strategic thought process, and it's necessary to be able to stay competitive in today's market.
Thank you so much, Michael. I really appreciate you having me on and really looking forward to coming on again.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to Transform Now. For more insightful discussions on digital transformation and more, check out our podcast channel where you'll find all of our previous episodes. To make sure you never miss an episode, subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast player. And if you like what you heard, please leave us a review. For more information about digital transformation and the future of work, check out blueprism.com to learn how Blue Prism's digital workforce is enabling enterprise transformation now.